Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video. Just a quick reminder, tomorrow is the 29th of February. It's Leap Day, so you get an extra day of the month. So enjoy. Now, I've had a lot of viewers ask, can I get a tour of Giga Texas? And the answer is yes, through Tesla's referral program. And recently, S.E. Robinson Jr., who does a great recap of all of Elon's companies daily on X, took up Tesla on this offer and got a tour of Giga Texas on the 23rd of February. He put together a great video clip, I think, that has a lot of interesting items that you would be interested as well, since you follow me and Giga Texas. So with his permission, here is his video. Enjoy. So there you go, a great video clip, a lot of interesting sites around Giga Texas that I can't normally show you. Thank you very much, S.C. Robinson Jr. Make sure you check out his links here on X and on YouTube. These will be in the video description as well. So now, without further ado, let's get in the drone, let's fly around Giga Texas and see what it looks like today. If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. Good early morning from Giga Texas today. The winds were really strong and forecast to get even stronger, so I decided I would fly early and try to get in before the winds picked up, and I was fortunately able to do so. And consequence of that is we're going to do a early pre-dawn or dawn flight, and we'll start on the north corner of the main factory here at the 4680 cell section. This is some views that you can get a little bit of a look inside, where they've been doing a lot of the construction and the addition of many of the areas and sites that will be supporting the expanded 4680 production cell portion of the factory. You can get some views in with the windows, and also that construction elevator you could see in operation now as well. So they're using that on both of those platforms. Here on the northwest corner, we can get a good view into where there's some tables and a cafeteria on the second floor, and also some additional areas on the third floor. And you'll notice that some of the windows have coverings. Those are sunshades. It's because on the west side of the building in the afternoon, a lot of the sun will come in and it can get this part of the factory quite warm. So they've installed some of the sunshades, and they'll be in periodical sections here as we go. And what we are looking at on this section here on the third floor with that construction area, you can see those blue X's and the white and red. That's where they're installing another clean room, and that work has been going on for some time. You can see a similar one at the bottom floor, and on the top is where there are some offices and also the 4680 cell production machinery in the background of that section. And they have to have those clean rooms as part of the 4680 cell production because the relative humidity has to be so low, about 2%, and they need to keep that all clean for the battery materials. Here is a view of some devices that I think are used to condition the batteries, possibly. And then on the bottom floor that you can see is more office space. All of this is, again, part of the 4680 cell portion of the factory. Now, as we continue to fly towards the south, you'll see for this section a little bit of the wind shades or sunshades. We can see a hallway, some workstations, and also looks like another cafeteria for the employees on that second floor. And then continuing on the second floor throughout this area is essentially the headquarters and the main offices for Giga Texas. On the third floor, this is part of the battery cell structural pack manufacturing portion of the factory. You can see some of those kind of rack mounts on the upper left, and on the background you can see some of the yellow robotic machinery that are associated with making those structural packs. and additional equipment throughout this entire area. On the second floor, again, is more of that office space and many of the administrative and working stations for Giga Texas. Here's a good view on the third floor of the amount of materials, those crates, and also the boxes that have been moved in. We see a lot of the platforms in the background. And in this section also, they have, it's hard to see because of the angle here with the drone, but there's actually a third floor and a fourth floor mezzanine put into that area. Here's a good view of some of the structural packs and also some of the red and white platform items that are being moved around in this section, getting ready to turn this into more production capability. In the background, you can see those temporary stairs, the mezzanines, and some of the plastic that are dividing this section. We can also see a lot of machinery up onto that mezzanine level where that plastic was open. A lot more materials being stored here as well. You can tell that this is the tall part of the glass of the structure here on the west side. And coming into view now at the bottom floor is that west main entrance. You can see those staircases, the second floor mezzanine, and then the ground floor. And of course, the main entrance with the stone class trapezoid, the lighting borders, and that red lighting that goes around those stainless steel kind of the part of the plaid emblem, and then with the reflection in the window, also with some of those kind of those beams and columns that mimic this design going on the inside as well. So it helps give that entire plaid kind of emblem look to this side. On the third floor here, we see more equipment. Looks like on the upper left, some of the ducting for the HVAC. We see some sections here that have temporary fencing where some assembly of equipment is underway. You can also see many of the crates that have been opened and broken down, some of the robots that have that kind of aluminum wrapping on them. And then in the background, you can see the operational section where much of the Cybertruck is constructed in this part of the factory. And on the second floor, we can see more crates, more equipment, and a lot of open space. So that area here is possibly going to be able to be used for expansion sometime into the future. And good view up onto the top floor as well of some of the continued production areas in the far background and some of the equipment closer to the windows. There's a open door, and then it's actually a ramp there, and then it's right next to these receiving doors. And this is getting towards the south end of the west side of the factory. Some other good views inside here. In this portion of the factory on the third floor is where the tailgates and some of the hood and other items that are movable for the exterior of the Cybertruck. We also see more crates, more space for continued expansion, especially on that second floor, and also a lot of carts, and looks like some additional larger crates here on the third floor as well. As we continue to fly towards the south, this is a good view of even more crates and more room for expansion here. Towards the middle of the factory from this point is where more of the Cybertruck production is underway. And then through this opening over the temporary loading platform, and then as we continue to maneuver towards the right, you'll see some yellow assembling robots in the middle top of the screen through that opening. That is where the Cybertruck doors are manufactured in this part of the factory. And now we've reached the original southwest angled corner. And as I pivot the drone around, you can see where the extension of the building is being constructed, and the two cranes that are operational with the shoring for what they are putting the cranes on to keep them from sinking down into the ground. More of the steel structure has been erected on this side. It's approaching into this southwest corner of the original building, and from this perspective you can see how much it has proceeded towards the main building. That opening and the perimeter grade beam on the lower left is what I'm monitoring to see if possibly the boring tunnel might be connected to that area. Still not sure if that will be the case, but it would be the location that that would happen. If you look through the steel on towards the Stamping 2 extension, you might see some Cybertrucks driving through that area. That's because that's where the end of line for the Cybertruck production line ends, and then the vehicles come out of that part of the factory and then are queued up and then move to the east temporary testing and calibration lot. Good overall view here from the south, looking to the north along the building, and of course the Cyber Pond and River Road going from left to right along the screen, and of course a good view of the expansion on the south end of the building. This is a good view of the extension from the southeast side. You can see the crates with all of the glass that will be added to the south end of this extension. Also, the tanks that are under assembly still, and 4 Cybertrucks that have exited the factory and are in that queue waiting to be moved over to the east testing and calibration lot. This is a good view of the growing multi-level parking garage. Also some excavation work going on here on the south side of that garage. We see what looks to be concrete vaults being installed, and looks like more electrical conduit going through this section of the factory, and additional work for concrete work on the inside of the structure. We can also see that the structure is 1 footing width away from reaching its furthermost east section, and then as I turn back, this gives you a good view of how that looks today for that structure. The bottom left is where the intersection of Robotic Avenue and River Road will be taking place, and then of course more of the materials being stockpiled here on the east side. As I continue to maneuver the drone around, you can get a good view of the footings that are being prepared for more of the concrete beams and columns to be installed, plus the double T panels, and of course the rest of the installation of the concrete parts for the multi-level parking garage. If you look on top of the cranes, you can see how fast the flags are moving. The winds were quite strong during this period of the flight, and that's why I had to maneuver around fairly quickly on this part of the multi-level parking garage. But I'm going to fly back towards the south now, give you a closer view of some of the activity that is going on here with the south extension. We'll stop on this southeast corner and just give you a good view of the water or the tanks that are being installed, plus the tank lids on the left. Those are those Cybertrucks that are just waiting in queue to move over to the east side. A much better view. Of course, the crates for the glass and work on that new southeast perimeter grade beam. We also see some more trench work on the ground floor underneath the steel structure on the left, and of course the pump trucks and the concrete trucks as they are pouring another section of slab on the second floor of this building extension. So as I reposition the drone here, I'll bring it to a lower altitude. We'll start on the southeast side, and then I'll give you a good close-in view of all the work and activity that is going on here today. On the left-hand side of the screen, we can see where the columns and the mounts are painted black along the south end of the building. Good view in here. That's where all the windows will be installed. That large excavation section and the workers getting their morning briefing before they get ready to start work. And in addition to that large pit, we'll see another one here on the bottom floor underway. And in addition to that, we see the crews pouring that concrete on the second floor of this part of the extension. Now you'll also note at the bottom center of the screen, the perimeter grade beam is double in thickness. This is very similar to the other side where we saw the other pit that being excavated. So for whatever reason, it looks like there's 2 parallel symmetric pits being done on the south end of the building, at least for right now. Here's a good view of more steel being delivered today. It's being stockpiled onto the ground, and then very rapidly the cranes will pick it up and assemble it into this south extension. So the steel doesn't stay idle on the ground for very long here. So I'm going to reposition, get ready to fly over the highway, and we'll resume the flight on the west side. approaching into where the boring company Proofrock 3 assembly is underway. Additional support equipment with that belt cassette, the roll of the belt material, the beams under those A-frames, and then the extension of the Proofrock 3 getting ready for the operation to begin. Still have not seen the Proofrock move itself, but it does look like they are getting closer to that point where we'll see the tunneling operation underway. And also see the 3 cement silos and the materials and equipment for the grout mixture. Also, we can see those yellow cables that are part of the power system for the Proofrock 3. And looks like crews are getting ready for the beginning of the day. With the winds and much cooler temperatures, it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge than what they have seen in the last few days for their operations here. Thought I would fly over to the material storage location to take a look at the TKS modular paint system items that have been delivered. Those are those white wrapped items. You can see some of the markings on them. Also the TKS trailer. And hopefully we'll start seeing some of this being moved inside the factory once they are ready to start assembling this new paint system. On the upper right, we can see the extension for the outbound lot, getting more of the earthwork done. And of course, there are a lot of Model Ys and Cybertrucks here on the outbound lot today. Some of the Cybertrucks are intermixed in with the Model Ys, as we have seen before, but there's also a segregated section of the Cybertrucks you can see in the upper right. And I'll give you a closer view of those here shortly in the video. But I wanted to start here on the north end of the outbound lot to show you that the preparation work for getting the grade finalized and then the asphalt can be put down here to extend the outbound lot is well underway today. The trench work is nearing completion. It'll have the conduit put in, and then that will help support the lighting system for this portion of the outbound lot. There's a good view of the trench with some of that conduit being installed as well. Much of the concrete apron on the bottom left has been poured. We saw that starting on my previous video. Today we see more asphalt being laid down amongst with the concrete curbs. And here's a good look at those Cybertrucks grouped together on this side of the outbound lot. As we look back at the end-of-line facility, more of the rebar being laid down along the side of the building for more of the concrete along this entire section. And of course, more of the asphalt trucks waiting for their turn to lay down more of the asphalt. Much of the asphalt that we saw beginning to be laid down in my previous video here south of the superchargers, looks like that part has been completed. And then on this south end, more of the preparation work is underway with what looks to be some, pipe sticking up out of the ground with some rectangular sections on the left of the screen, and that suggests that we're going to see more work, more assembly, more equipment south of the superchargers. And again, here's a good view of those superchargers from this vantage point. And as we fly along the east side, we can get a good sense of the work that is underway to continue to prepare this side, or at least rework this side for possibly concrete being added in instead of the asphalt that they had originally laid down. I'll turn back around one more time to give you a good view of the north end of the end-of-line facility. The glass has been installed in that section that juts out towards the north, and much of it is starting to look more and more completed as the days pass. So as I pull away, a good view of that entire west side, also the graded area with a little bit of the standing water here in the middle of the screen. And we'll see what they end up doing with this section as they continue to expand towards the north. We can see the 2 tents and a lot of the Connex trailers and equipment that are stored here in this section of the site. The work to continue the north-south road construction is underway. We can see the medians are pretty well established now and the 2-lane roads. And we see more of the materials that are being stored here in addition to the new section, which has a slightly lighter color gravel here and some of the items being laid out in parallel lines. But this whole side has had a lot of steel being stored and staged here for many years, and it is finally starting to diminish, which is a great sign, just indicating the amount of construction that is continuing and the more transformation that we see here at Giga Texas. So here's a good view back at the factory on this side of the highway, and we'll resume on the correct side of the highway, right on the north side of the factory. And back where we began the video earlier in the morning, this is a good view now of that section of the 4680s that's getting that work and what it looks like with a little bit more light. I did notice that more bridge cranes, these are dual bridge cranes, 8-ton capacity, have been delivered. Later on in the day, I saw even more being delivered to this part of the factory. Most of the castings here are gone, there's just a few remaining, and I think that's because they're being used for production and also maybe being moved back over to this section where we see the new concrete apron, the rack mounts being used along this new side, the widened berm, and of course all of the concrete being poured on the left of the screen for that widened apron, a lot of the materials for the internal installation of furnaces and other equipment in the casting machine section, more of the castings along this entire area, and that section that is continuing to have concrete saw cut and removed out of this portion of the site. And we're just going to continue to monitor this to see if they might be cutting in some doorways into the casting machine structure here as well. We're flying over the section where the conduit for the electrical system for Giga Texas was installed, and also where we see more concrete being saw cut and removed next to that side of the building. Here's a good view of the multi-level parking garage, the testing and calibration lot, and the activity here with many Cybertrucks and Model Ys. I did count at least 97, possibly 98 Cybertrucks on this particular lot at the time that I flew, and more were arriving. So it's another great sign that the production of the Cybertrucks is not slowing down. And I don't know what the numbers are. Some people are saying 8 to 10 per hour. That's probably about correct, maybe a little bit more. But definitely more of the ramp is obvious here by just looking at this testing and calibration lot. Here's a good view of more of those Cybertrucks. I'll maneuver over the helicopter pad, and this gives you just a really good view of how this lot looked this morning. As we fly over the East Warehouse on Wheels and employee expansion lot, I noticed the winds were really starting to pick up, so I'm going to have to abbreviate my flight over the battery cathode complex of structures today, but I think you'll get a good view of what is going on. We'll take a look at the east side next to the crash test facility. Also, that water detention pond is getting some of the gravel mix and or riprap added on the top of the berm and going down into the bottom of the water detention pond. We see another section of dirt being cleared next to the south end of the crash test facility, and this possible tank structure is just looks like they're filling in the dirt around that concrete structure that's been added. So maybe that will be level and a grate will be on top of that. So again, something I'll continue to monitor. Here's a good view of the cell testing lab and also the Wade pit, and looking up to the far northeast with all of the earthwork and some of the equipment that is being stored on that side of the site. I'm going to reposition the drone here on the west side, turning back towards the cathode plant, so you can get a good sense of the asphalt, the parking lots, and how at least half of this west side has been transformed. And then on the right-hand side, more of the work to prepare, hopefully, for more asphalt in this area, which will help with some of the water drainage issues. As we get closer to the chiller plant, we can see that the temporary platform continues to be in use, and work on the chiller plant shows that the plastic temporary walls have been removed today. So that indicates that whatever they were working there is now completed, which is another great sign, and I'll give you a closer view on that on my next video. More preparation work and geotextile membranes being added onto the west side of the die shop as well. So let's fly over and take a quick look at the remains of the temporary electrical switchyard. The control rooms and the new permanent electrical switchyard is on the right of the screen, and on the left we can see what looks to be just 3 of the old control room trailers and that transformer, and there's still some underground piping and the copper grid, the grounding grid that needs to be removed in this section. But otherwise, it looks like it's very close to being completely disassembled now, and then this will be returned back to its original state, and then we'll see what they will do with it next. So otherwise, I know this was a little bit of a different flight path today because of the weather, because of the winds. I hope that you enjoyed the early morning views inside the west side of General Assembly, plus what we were able to see today. As always, thank you very much for watching and for your great support. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and take care.